He's become one of the most popular boxers here since his last fight here in the Madison Square Garden was last July against Daniel Gil, which he had a very impressive third-round KO. It was nominated for KO of the Year in a lot of places where he got hit by Gil and then was able to knock him out in the same sequence. Since then, he sold out the StubHub Center in California, broke all the records, all the attendance records for boxing in Carson, California, and naturally just had the impressive win over Martin Murray in Monte Carlo, which was also televised on HBO. So we want to welcome everyone here. We're excited. Vladimir's fighting tonight at the Garden, and we wanted to bring Gennady in to meet with the New York press and to also talk about his upcoming fight May 16th at the Forum in Los Angeles, which will also be televised by HBO. I want to thank Joel Fischer from Madison Square Garden Company for being here. They've been very supportive. The game plan was to bring Gennady here to New York, the media capital of the world, put him on the highest stage possible, and it's worked. I mean, he's performed every time we put him on a bigger stage. He's always performed, and that's where I think the key to his quick rise in popularity here in the United States has come. I also want to introduce where's Roshan? Where did she go?
Where's the photo?
Okay. Oh, okay. The Consul General from New York is here also from Kazakhstan. So Gennady's pretty much become a folk hero in his country. Whenever he fights and they show his fights in Kazakhstan, pretty much the whole country shuts down to watch him fight. And we wanted to have Roshan say a few words as well. But we're excited for everyone to be here. We can open it up for different questions, but I'd like to actually have Joel say a few words on behalf of Madison Square Garden, what the relationship between MSG and Gennady has been. And for those who don't know, MSG purchased the Forum in Los Angeles, completely renovated it. You know, the Forum has such a historic long line of historic fights there. Bill Kaplan knows many of the fighters and the fights that have been there, and this will be the second fight since the first fight was Marquez Alvarado last year, and so Gennady will be the second fight at the Forum. And so I want to say a few words, Joe.
Thanks, Tom. We love our relationship with Gennady, with all the fighters that we work with. How many years ago was it? 5 years ago. Remember, Tom said, I got this fighter that really dreams about fighting in the Garden, wants to meet you. They came up to our office, my office, and we sat down, and Gennady has got a tremendous personality, but his goal was to be the best fighter in the world, and he wanted to make, just like Miguel Cotto had made Madison Square Garden his home, he wanted to make Madison Square Garden his home. We just loved his personality and the way he was, and we did a little research. Obviously, he had a tremendous amount of potential, and thank God it's worked out for him and us. We're thrilled to have him fight at the Garden. We're thrilled to have him fight at the Forum. Right, the Forum fight on the 16th will be a great night. And Tom will talk a little bit about it, but we're working on bringing him back here to New York sometime, hopefully in the fall. If we can find a date and figure out an opponent.
You get Miguel Cotto to fight, we'll be back here at Madison.
I would love to see that myself. So, we're thrilled about the relationship, and look forward for Gennady doing some great things at the Forum, at the Garden, and just in his career in general. We're also looking forward, as Tom said, tonight should be a great night. So. Looking forward to tonight too. Tom's been a great partner on tonight. It should be a really alive building, basically sold out, so it's going to be a great night.
Thank you, Joel. We definitely appreciate the support. I also want to introduce Roshan is here now. She's the Consul General for the consulate here in New York. She's been very supportive of Gennady and his career before he was really known here in New York. And she had a lot of the local Kazakh people and fans come to the Garden when he would fight. So maybe, Roshan, if you could say a few words of what Gennady means to the country of Kazakhstan and what his success here in America, represents when his fights are shown over there.
Thank you very much. And really, Tom, I'm really, proud to know Gennady from the beginning. And even, for now, I cannot go to LA, and I will watch. And I know in my country, in Kazakhstan, even here it's nighttime, and in Kazakhstan it's earlier morning. And you know, we have a saying, only one thing can wake up earlier in Kazakhstan, as Gennady Golovkin. You know, because Kazakh people, they love to sleep. It's just like, usually it's Saturday, Sunday morning. And I'm so proud of Gennady and his brother, and I'm so proud to know his trainer, and Tom, he helps a lot. And all of his team, they're amazing. And I said to all of you to help Gennady, and I'm sure fight on next month will be the best one, and next one will be even better. Thank you so much.
Rashawn keeps asking when we're bringing Gennady back to New York, and it's just a matter of getting the right opponent for Madison Square Garden. But we really appreciate all of her support, and you know, at the consulate, their support of Gennady. You know, with that being said, we can kind of open it up a little bit. Abel, if you want to say a few words on, you know, the fight coming up with Willie Monroe.
Yeah, we're extremely happy to be back here in New York. Thank you for the support. It's getting bigger and bigger. We appreciate that very much. We've been training now for about 4.5 weeks in the sparring part of the training camp. So May 16th should be another dramatic night. Gennady likes to put on good shows, so it's going to be another great night.
Tom, why Willie Monroe Jr.?
Why Willie Monroe? Because first of all, Miguel Cotto wouldn't accept the challenge. Gennady's actually is mandatory from the WBC. Part of the agreement was that Cotto would get one voluntary defense before he had to fight Gennady. That was meant to fight Canelo. That fight never happened. So then we were trying to put that fight together, but we never. The WBC will still give him one voluntary defense. It looks like now he's going to fight Daniel Gil, who Gennady fought last year here. So Willie Monroe made the most sense. You know, he fought on ESPN 4 times within the last 12 months. He won the Boxino tournament, and he's from here, from upstate New York. So he's known in the United States. And the funny thing is, and Oleg, Gennady's manager, can explain it also. You know, Gennady wants to test himself. He hadn't fought a southpaw since his HBO debut against Boxer, you know, from Poland, and so he wanted to. You know, Willie has a very unconventional style. When I called Artie Palulu, his promoter, he was surprised that I would call him and ask for a southpaw specifically. But that's what Gennady wanted, and you know, Abel was on board, and he wants to perfect his style against any different style.
Triple G, what do you know about Willie Monroe Jr.? What you know about your opponent?
He's a good fighter, you know. I think he's difficult for me because he's southpaw. He has good speed, good move. You know, remember, everybody is a good boxer. Has problem with southpaw. Canelo with Cuba guy, Miguel Cotto, he has problems with trouble, you know, with southpaw. You know, this new style for me, new situation. I think a little bit different, you know. I won't be in any style. Just new style for me.
Gennady, do you ever get frustrated that some of these superstars won't take the fights against you?
No, I think so. No, I understand my situation. I have great. I feel it's great. You know, I know I have time. Not a lot, just time. I think next step is much better. You know, right now just my focus on Willie Monroe, of course, 100%. And after I think so, I have big step. You know, I have 4 fights this year. Why not?
Do you ever picture yourself getting to a point maybe where you're so frustrated? Because I can't even picture you swearing. I can't even picture you angry, frankly. You ever ponder maybe you're going to get frustrated and call out one of these guys and say, come on, be a warrior, be a man and fight me?
This is my life. Why? I'm not mad, I'm not angry, because this is my life. I like my life.
Gennady, do you have, what's your interest in this fight this coming week with Mayweather and Pacquiao? And could you see yourself possibly facing the winner of that fight at some point? Would you like to?
Biggest fight. Biggest fight. Biggest deal. Of course, anybody wants to fight, you know, with number one pound for pound. Yes, of course, this is my dream fight with Floyd or with me. And I understand I am 160. It's big 147, maybe 140, 154 just for Floyd or for me. You know, this is a big deal.
Gennady, tonight your countryman, Vladimir Klitschko, the heavyweight champ, he's fighting Brian Jennings. How do you see that fight taking place? And then where do you rank Klitschko among the all-time great heavyweights?
Oh, he is very good fight for heavyweight, you know. Klitschko, Vladimir, he's great champion for heavyweight, you know, long time. He's bigger, he's stronger. You know. Jennings is not good prospect. He's good fighter too, absolutely. You know, he has chance. I think very interesting for everybody. You know.
You were fighting a lot in Germany, right?
Yes, first time, yeah.
How do you feel the difference between Germany and here in the United States?
Big difference. Big difference. The United States is make of boxing, you know. Germany is my first step, my debut. Doesn't matter, Germany or Kazakhstan or Russia, you know. It's real boxing in the United States, just in the United States.
Gennady, in what ways do you honor or respect what Vladimir Klitschko has done and how he's carried himself?
Absolutely, because you know he's big guy, he's big champion. He's a very smart guy, you know, he has a good team. And he's big name for boxing, for heavyweight, not for many, for everybody, just for heavyweight.
What kind of relationship do the two of you have?
No, just, you know, he's a great champion, I know, just thank you for talk. Don't work with K2, you know, I work with Tom.
How do you feel about having your family here now? Does that help you, having your family in LA?
No, my family, my wife, she understands my business. This is my business, my deal, you know. I'm very happy because my family goes with me, you know, just in California. My son, it's very important for us, for me, for my family. He goes to school, it's very good.
They have a sense of how beloved Gennady is with the Triple G brand nickname and the catchphrases. What is the future for that? Whether it be T-shirts, whether it be that kind of stuff.
You know, it's funny you mention that because a lot of people think that somehow that's planned or pre-planned, but it really isn't. You know, when we had the promotion last year against Rubio, you know, I came up with that name only because Gennady in his interview with Max Kellerman said, you know, when Max said, you know, how he fights such aggressive style, and Gennady says, yeah, I fight the Mexican style. That's what Abel taught him. You know, and then that was just a natural fit. So when he comes up with these, you know, phrases in the interviews, it's just really just off the top of his head. It's not anything that's really planned, but the fans are so passionate, you know, and they just embrace those type of phrases. And even with Gennady's, you know, Gennady's English is getting better, certainly, but he still, you know, throws out very poignant phrases, just like with Curtis Stevens. When Curtis Stevens was saying all these things at the press conference, then he said, you know, are you serious? And then whatever, you know, those three words were much more important than whatever Curtis said. So, but you know, I haven't really, you know, the demand for merchandise and just anything related to Gennady has really taken off, and you know, as his popularity not only here in America, but you know, really a big part of the game plan for Gennady, because as he alluded to, he doesn't care where he fights. He fights internationally. You know, we've made it clear a number of times he would go to England to fight the great champions over there, whether it's Andy Lee in Ireland, whether it's Carl Froch in the UK. You know, and so internationally, you know, his TV ratings off the Murray fight were some of the highest that have been on an international event, and so that's his plan is or our plan is to build his global brand.
Gennady, how long have you been living in Germany?
I think 7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
7 years. Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be because Germany is going a bit down in boxing? You who lived so long in Germany, came back as a superstar from the States now, fighting in Germany. One of those guys, Sturm, Abraham, Stieglitz. Also a question to Tom. Would that be an interesting fight for you? I think the Germans would love you to see you in a style which is completely different to those in Germany?
No, I'm open for fight for anyone, for everybody. Just this big step back, like going to Germany for Sturm. I think it's better for Sturm coming to United States. Because United States is boxing, this number one, it's first class. Going to Germany, why Germany? Maybe better Monaco or Kazakhstan, because I'm champion.
To answer the question, Hartman, he tried to get Storm to fight him for 2 years when he was a mandatory for the WBA title, and we couldn't work it out with the WBA. So, sure, if the opportunity presented itself, if one of the guys said that they would fight, it would be interesting. But right now, Gennady's star has risen above all of them. Sturm, Stieglitz, Abraham. He's on all the pound-for-pound lists. He's considered one of the best boxers in the sport and one of the most marketable boxers in the sport. What you have to keep in mind, in perspective, is he headlined Madison Square Garden last year, and now he's going to the Forum, which is a big arena in Los Angeles. And it's really the only boxer, and he's not native of America. He's from Kazakhstan. So to sell a big arena in New York and then go to the Forum in Los Angeles is a big accomplishment. And so, the first choice would be to have the big names fight him, but if we had to go somewhere like to the UK or if it made sense in Germany, certainly would entertain it, but I think he's above where those fighters are.
Gennady, did you have a chance to watch the Andy Lee and Peter Quillen fight?
Yeah, I saw the fight.
What you thought about it?
Interesting question. I never see it's interest for me. It's fine. And they said it's WBO champions fight, excuse me guys, it's never new for me. Never see it new for me, Andy, he worked, it's good. Right hand, Peter too much weight, too much stages. No interest. For me it's very boring. Yep. It's true.
Abel, what did you think of that fight with the Andy Lee and Quillen?
Well, I think they're a step below Gennady, for sure. I thought that Andy took the fight to Peter. Peter just waited too much, and that's what Gennady and I talked about. It made it a boring fight for two champions fighting and waiting for as long as they had, as long as Peter had, and doing what he did in the past with relinquishing his belt. We felt that Peter needed to make a statement, and Peter didn't. And he keeps calling Gennady out, and everybody keeps calling Gennady out, but when they fight like that, it's difficult for us to get excited about facing them. Andy will probably be the one that would be exciting for us because we'd be going to Ireland in front of his all his fans there, so Gennady would get motivated for that. It's got to be at this level for Gennady. It's got to be something that motivates him to not necessarily to train because he trains hard, but for the fight, for it to be a spectacle, for it to be a dramatic situation. That's why it was a little bit boring and not exciting for us to sit there and watch that.
So, follow-up question then for you, Abel. Who would you say are the top challenges for Gennady at 160, if there is anybody?
I think that both, again, and I agree that Cotto is the biggest challenge for us because he wants the WBC belt. Andy, of course, the winner of the Endam and Lemieux fight, whichever guy wins, Lemieux's a heck of a fighter, and if he beats Endam, then we got a good challenge. But for right now, I think the target for Tom and for our team is Cotto. Until he says no, until he relinquishes the belt and Gennady fights for the WBC belt, then we go on to the next one. But that should be our next goal, I think.
Following up on that, you talked before about a dream match or an ideal match for Gennady with Chavez. Chavez just coming off of a bad loss, so now his career is kind of at the crossroads. Is there any other fighter, other than Cotto, obviously, that is like an ideal matchup, that big pay-per-view matchup that you see for Gennady in the future?
Well, for Gennady, let's just say his dream match is Mayweather. Mayweather gets through unscathed on the second, and he decides to move up. Gennady's willing to come down to 54 and meet him. For us now that Chavez got beat, I think Chavez is on the back burner for a couple fights maybe. I think Froch in England would be ideal for us. I think that he represents a lot of good things as far as what he's done in the past, and for Gennady, it's a good step.
And you guys would be willing to go over there and go all the way to 68?
I think that's up to Oleg and Max and Tom. Gennady has already told them what he wants to do, so that would be them setting up the right situation for us. And yeah, of course we go over there.
Abel, if the WBC were to allow Cotto to fight Canelo Alvarez for some sort of silly super championship, and the regular WBC championship became vacant, would you still want that title? Or would it mean less if Cotto refuses to fight you?
I think that Tom and Oleg and Max have dealt with the WBC and have got something set up with the WBC. I don't know what that may be, but
they're going to sanction the fight against Gil, but they won't sanction the fight against Canelo unless they have our approval, because it's clear that Gennady is the next mandatory challenger after he makes one voluntary offense.
What would it take to get your approval?
We've been approached by Rock Nation already to try to work something out with Cotto. So it just depends on if there's something that's acceptable to work out. I mean, the first thing would have to be that either whoever wins that fight would have to guarantee to fight him, which so far they haven't. And the second thing, there would have to be some significant financial compensation to Gennady, because he put himself in that position to fight Rubio, and without that, it wouldn't make any sense.
Tom, with boxing coming back to network TV this year and the long-term potential of that, where does Gennady fit in with that plan?
I think it's great. I think it's great that the boxing is back on network TV, on NBC and ABC, and then Spike was last night, and I think it just raises the awareness of the sport. When you have the sport being elevated, and then you have Gennady being considered the best in the sport, it just raises everyone. And the more marketable challengers that we can create for Gennady, the bigger events, the mega events. People have to put in perspective that Gennady's become as popular as he has by fighting, quote unquote, B-level fighters. But we've always tried to get the best available guys in the ring at that particular time. Daniel Gil was a two-time world champion. You saw what Gennady did with him. Curtis Stevens was a tough guy from New York here, and you saw what happened with Stevens. And same thing with Murray. Murray dropped Sergio twice in Argentina and gave Sturm a very tough fight in Germany. And then Gennady won pretty much a shutout and stopped him in 11 rounds. So we constantly seeking the same thing with Willie Monroe. We think Willie Monroe's style is challenging for everyone. It's going to be, Gennady has 19 knockouts in a row now. It'll be a challenge for him to see if he can cut off the ring and really slow down Monroe, or if Monroe can outbox him. So that's really the challenge. And then if we can get a Cotto, Chavez, we almost had that fight last year. Unfortunately, he lost to Fanfara, and he's pretty much, his career, is a little bit sidetracked right now. Froch certainly is a big challenge. So, whatever the biggest, Canelo has a big fight coming up in 2 weeks. If he wins that fight, as Abel alluded to, Lemieux or Endam, it's really, HBO, and Peter Nelson's not here right now, but they weren't used to when we first had the meeting. I had a list of like 20 names from middleweight, super middleweight. I said, okay, which one of these, if we make a strategy, which one of these guys don't you want to fight? And I went, talked to Oleg, I talked to Max and Abel, and we proved the entire list. And that's something that they weren't used to, and that's why they've been so supportive of Gennady, because he'll fight anyone, anytime, and it just has to be a motivation for him. And now with HBO's financial support and the amount of tickets that he sells and the gates that he generates, we can make a substantial offer to get other middleweight fighters into the ring with him.
Tom, follow up to that question. Is that an avenue you could ever see Gennady going down, being that the audience is just so much more than HBO and Showtime, and his ratings would probably be double or triple what he gets on HBO?
Well, HBO has certainly created Gennady's star. They put him on a platform that has given him that exposure, and we have an exclusive contract with HBO. I mean, certainly, in order to try to make one of these fights, I mean, you saw what happened with, coming up next week with Mayweather and Manny. So, if there's a really big fight out there, I'm sure there's something that can be worked out. But, he's going to be pretty soon on a pay-per-view level, and that's what's going to generate the most amount of money to get an opponent in the ring with him. And that's really, I think, the direction he's going into.
Tom, you were mentioning Miguel Cotto working with Rock Nation and whatnot. What about Andre Ward? Is that somebody that is still on his radar?
They've approached us also with Andre Ward, but they made it clear that they wanted to have a couple of fights, comeback fights. which I suppose this fight is coming up in Oakland. I think it's June 20th or something, 27th. And it'd be great. It'd be great for Andre to get back in the ring. He's been off for a while. He had some promotional issues and things like that. But if Rock Nation can get him back to a point where he was in the sport, and if that becomes, a big fight, then there's no reason not to fight Andre Ward. It's just that he's been out of the ring, and when people ask him, would he fight, Gennady, he says yes. And when people ask Abel or Gennady if he'd fight Andre Ward, he'd say yes. It's just making the financials work. And so far, Andre hasn't really brought the same amount of money, that Gennady brings right now. So if he kind of gets back in the swing of things, his popularity gets back up there, then there's no reason not to make that fight.
What do you make of the 172 weight though for that fight, and which seems to be moving away from Gennady instead of getting closer?
I think he wants to take over Chavez's weight class. I just found out about that today, so I don't know. I mean, he's a 168-pound champion, and certainly, we have a lot of respect for Andre, for what he's accomplished. He beat a lot of named fighters in the past, but that's a long time ago. I mean, right now, Gennady is the hot fighter. He fights, 3 times, 4 times a year whenever we can make that happen. And, with his ability to sell tickets and generate TV ratings, he's the one that all the focus is on right now. And so you don't see him, going in catch weights and things like that. The only way that would ever happen is if he moved out of his category, his weight class, to fight a bigger name fighter that's above him. Or, as he mentioned, he would move to 154, but only if it was a super fight like against Floyd or Manning. And that's a tremendous fight coming up next week. We have a cordial relationship. I've known Dave Itzkowitz for a long time, ever since he was at HBO. So it's a cordial relationship. It's just a matter of if we can put that fight together to put the fight with Miguel Cotto. I mean, Joel will tell you, Gennady Golovkin versus Miguel Cotto is probably one of the biggest fights that that's possible, if not the biggest fight at the Garden.
He's going to guarantee if it happens, it's at the Garden.
Well, it has to be. It has to be at the Garden. There's no other place that would make sense to hold that fight. But that would be a huge fight here in New York, and it doesn't get much bigger than that. So that a guy like Cotto, that would be pay-per-view. It would be Gennady's first pay-per-view. Cotto sells tickets to the Garden. Gennady is proven that he sells tickets to the Garden. So that would be a mega fight. The financials wouldn't be a problem in that fight.
Tom, when you're talking about financials, what are your thoughts on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. getting $4 million to fight Andre Fonfara?
I saw the tweet about the checks and everything. I'm not sure exactly what each check was for, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a Fonfara fight. It's not as much money as he was offered to fight Gennady. I know for a fact the Top Rank offered him $7 million, and they guaranteed him $5 million if he lost the fight. And I know there's probably a lot of other terms in there that I wasn't privy to, and I don't want to talk for Chavez, but I know they offered him a lot of money to fight Gennady, and we weren't able to make that deal.
Abel, how much are you looking to add to Gennady's game each fight, as opposed to just refining, keeping him strong entering each one?
The reason that we're fighting Willie Monroe is because Gennady wanted to make sure there was something different coming up for him, that it motivated him. The other 2 guys that were mentioned just didn't have the difficulties to them. So that, to answer your question, that was one of the things that is going to move to another level for us. We're going to try to work on something to capitalize on his strengths and Willie's weaknesses. But because he is a southpaw, it forces us to change some things and to add some things to our game.
Abel, is it hard to get?
Important to Gennady?
Absolutely not. Knockout comes, as his favorite saying, this is boxing. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. He's going to go in there and work like he always does. He works hard in the gym, and he's going to go in there and take the first round off and see what he's got, and then go from there. And if it comes, it comes. I've said in the past that I don't think anybody at 160 pounds stays with Gennady for 12 rounds. Murray almost proved me wrong. I don't think Willie will.
Abel, was it hard to get southpaw sparring partners for Gennady for this fight?
No, we have a nucleus of guys that we use a lot of the times, and it's Gennady's work in the gym, not so much the sparring partners. Gennady's technical work in the gym that allows them to work and allows them to do the things that they need to do to benefit us. Gennady allows that in the gym. He's not an abusive kind of guy, so those guys get to work and get to help us in a way that is going to improve Gennady.
Abel, he's knocking these guys out. We're giving him A+ grades, but you're obviously a harder judge as his coach. Are you giving him the same level grade for each fight?
Actually, I'm easy. He's the one that's hard on himself. No, he's the one that expects more and more and more. And that motivates us as a coaching staff and as a management staff to make sure that we give him those things that keep him motivated. But no, we work hard in the gym. He works hard in the gym, and it's an easy job for a coach when a guy performs in the gym the way that you want him to. And questions nothing.
On the outside, Gennady seems such a good-natured guy. How do you transform him, or how does he transform into what he does in the ring?
This is Gennady Golovkin here that you're talking to. When he steps to the rope, he becomes Triple G. Big difference.
Okay.
Gennady, what is Triple G inside the ring? Who is that? How is he different?
For a serious professional sportsman. Professional sportsman. Not killer, not like hard. No, just professional sportsman. I like my sport. I love my boxing sport. I know I understand my situation in ring. This is my job. It's my life.
Did you say professional sportsman?
Sportsman, yes.
Gennady, how did you get involved in the world of boxing?
His brothers actually took him to the gym and that when he was about 10 years old.
Yeah, 10 years old. Yeah. Everybody going to see boxing gym. Maybe like Mexico, like everybody going to see boxing gym. Sometimes I work with soccer, like basketball. Everybody to boxing gym. They're going to.
Kazakhstan and Ukraine. These are countries that have a lot of powerful boxers coming out right now. A lot of boxers.
I know Kazakhstan. I know Ukraine. I know Kazakhstan.
Excuse me. Where your powerful KO comes from?
It's my natural power. This is hard work every day. Discipline. And special thank you very much for my coach.
I saw you in a Monaco versus Ishida, and it was spectacular. I mean, your KO is something more than just powerful. It's hungry, something else, something more.
It's my style, it's my class. Thank you.
Thank you.